why am I doing all this stuff? Now, to begin with, it was just to make money. I was like, this will be fun. I'm running a business, and if it works, then I'll do well from it, to start with. And I identified the opportunity by going, right, I remember I was 26. I can literally remember sitting in my flat in Fulham, my brother's flat, in fact, it was, thinking, what should we do? And I remember thinking, well, where are the biggest opportunities? Well, the biggest opportunities are wherever the biggest problems are. Okay, where are the biggest problems? And at the time, all I knew, the two most stressful problems were divorce and moving house. I thought, well, I can't solve the divorce problem. But let's look at moving house. If that's the biggest problem, then that's the biggest opportunity. I'll try that. That was literally the way I ended up starting. I bought and sold a couple of flats at that point in my life and had bad experiences with agents. I thought, right, as every other company that's come into this industry since then has also been doing, estate agents are idiots. They should be disintermediated. They're no longer necessary. Let's cut out the estate agent. That was my reason for getting in this industry. Cut out the estate agent. Very quickly learned why that's not possible and why they are important. Very early on. You know Rightmove, right?
Yeah.
Before I got fired from Datography, the managing director and two of his colleagues of Rightmove came to Datography's offices to discuss buying the company because we built the first ever web-based estate agency software platform that was delivering amazing results for its clients. Right back then, what I knew was that at the time, the best thing for the property market, for estate agents and for movers, would be for one company to have the website that the public sees, Rightmove, the software that the estate agents use, and at the time also the photography and floor plan service.
Yeah.
So those three things together made perfect sense. And I know that was true because Zoopla since then tried to do exactly the same. That's why Zoopla bought up software companies. They haven't made that work yet, and they're still trying. But in my mind, that was just it was a blatantly obvious opportunity. When we turned Rightmove down, we then got an offer to be bought by Australia's biggest property website, realestate.com, that was owned by Rupert Murdoch's.
Okay.
Well, News Corp, I think, owned it. And we did a deal for them to buy us out until I realised that the guy running them was just not someone I was ever going to do business with. Now, an important addition to this is that all along, I have known that there is a better way to do it than Rightmove does it. I don't mean a better way to advertise property on the internet. They do that very well. But a better way for that to segue into the process of actually viewing a property. And a better way for them to deliver value to agents. Because they deliver value to some agents, but not to others. And there are a lot of agents that have no choice but to pay what to them is extortionate. They have a very unfair pricing model to estate agents. Generally speaking, there are exceptions, but generally speaking, the most honest agents, the ones who deserve to get business because they actually care about the customers, are the ones with the least business and have to pay the highest price to Rightmove. And it doesn't serve anyone, right? It's indirectly, that's harming the consumer, the mover. So Rightmove's business model and pricing policy is actually a barrier to improvement for movers. And I've always wanted to have, to run the property website, the national property website. But lots of people have tried. I mean, the National Association of Estate Agents tried. You'd think they'd be able to do it as well because they know estate agents, they know the industry, they know their clients, they have the money. And I remember we were actually involved with them building that. We were consulted on it. And I remember thinking to myself, how can these guys not get this? And the point is, it's a bit like, just because you're a great plumber doesn't mean you know how to operate a plumber's comparison website. The business of estate agency is unlike any other business. And estate agents don't know how to run technology companies. And technology companies don't know how to run estate agents. And there have been examples of people coming out of the city pouring huge amounts of money into disrupting estate agency, and they've lost it all. We're getting to the point, which is my big driver. I have learnt through a whole series of events that there is a connection between worsening income inequality in society and the way the property market operates. There is a direct connection between those two things. There are low-income people, let me define that, people who only earn just enough to cover their rent and bills, and they have got zero disposable money left over, whose lives are avoidably worsened permanently because of the way the moving process operates. And all of what I call the parasitic side industries that feed off the moving process. I want to change that. And if Best Agent, as a home search site, ends up becoming a site that has even 10% of the online searching market, it will be big enough to have an influence on the utility sector and all the other ancillaries, financial services, insurance, mortgages, conveyancing, surveys, internet, broadband, TV, energy, all of that. I was allowed in. It took me a year of knocking on the door of all of those companies to say, hi, I want to talk to you about providing you with mover leads. And to begin with, there was just a wall of silence, not even an acknowledgement, not even a response. So like, tumbleweed. Hello? Anyone here? Hello? Nothing. You knock hard enough, you do, eventually, you find some contact on LinkedIn and you start pinging them and eventually they respond and they first of all treat you with immense suspicion. And then finally, you get inside and they go, okay, all right, we'll let this guy in, we'll talk. They never wanted to have video calls, they never wanted to have phone calls, they never wanted to meet in person. The two standout stories, okay, well, I met with a bunch of utility companies, both energy and broadband and internet stuff, right? The two standout stories from that were, one, a major household name TV and internet provider who explained to me how they get around the rules on what commissions can be paid for leads and pay us enormous commissions for customers, more than double what the law permits through loopholes and stuff, right? Now, fine, they found a loophole, it's not illegal. It's certainly ignoring the spirit of the law, it's ignoring the intention of the law, but not necessarily illegal. I'm not accusing them of anything illegal, but they had this phrase that they used to describe this extra payment that was made, some form of rebate, they called it. But what staggered me was the size of that total payment they were making in relation to what the customers were paying them. You're talking 50% of what consumers are paying on their monthly bills is going to paying the commission on people who introduce those customers.
That is crazy.
It is not fair. It is not necessary. That's one. The other standout story was also a telecoms provider, much less well known, but still quite successful and big. And all I can remember was when he made a comment, we were discussing why they only offer energy to businesses and not to consumers. They only offered internet to consumers, but they don't offer energy to consumers when they could. And I asked him why, and he said, because when the scrotes can't pay, you can't switch them off. And I remember thinking to myself, did you just really say that? You are the director of a major, it's not a household name, but it is a national provider. And that's your attitude towards people on low incomes. Scrotes. What I realise is that entire industry sector, which makes vast profits, is doing so at the expense of people. For utilities, not for luxury products, but for the ability to keep warm, light their house, and have internet connection. It is a direct contributing factor and cause to people on marginal incomes being forced into high interest debt, right? Wonga.com. And so I found an additional motivation gradually over the course of the couple of years when I was looking to do these things. I was like, this is not okay. And there's no one here I can do business with that isn't behaving the same, because those are the rules of the game.
Right.
You know, and if you're nice, play nice, you don't win anything, you don't get anywhere. But if you are the provider of new customer leads enough, I've got a plan. Once Best Agent is established and viable and successful, it'll provide the money to build the next stage, which is what's going to dismantle that cartel. The best agent is a means to an end. The best agent is not the end.
I see.
Best agent is a Trojan horse to get in and stop large numbers of people on low incomes being fucked over by corporations who don't need to fuck them. I am not a socialist, but capitalism can go too far. And in my view, whatever the law says, I am a capitalist. And the reason I'm a capitalist is because nothing lifts people out of poverty faster than technology and innovation. And socialism does not foster innovation. Capitalism does. Capitalism, on balance, does more good than bad, or has done until now. Now, arguably, it's gone too far and is now doing more bad than good. Because income inequality is just bad, it always has been, and without exception leads to civil unrest and very bad times. And there are too many stupid people like the investors who just want more money but don't know why. And they're winning. They're accumulating these funds more and more and more and more and more. And a few of them have had the decency to go on camera and go, I don't need all this money. There's something wrong with the system. I'm accumulating more money than I ever imagined. I don't want it. I don't need it. The system's wrong. So it just needs to be a bit rebalanced. What I had never appreciated is that the property market has a greater influence on the economy as a whole than almost anything else. House prices affect banks' balance sheets, the cost of money, inflation, all of it. And I understand all this because of my time in the city. I get how it's all connected. So Rightmove is in a position, should it want to do so, to actually make massive social improvements and change without losing any money. No one there gives a fuck. They don't care. Do you know that Rightmove, which makes £200 million a year profit and is worth £6 billion, yeah, and a quarter of it's owned by American hedge funds. What do they care about English social problems? What do you reckon? How much do you reckon out of its £200 million a year profit it gives to homelessness charities?
It's probably nothing.
It's a very round number. 0.